أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب من شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل أعوذ برب الناس مالك الناس إله الناس من شر الوسواس الخناس الذي يوسوس في صدور الناس من الجنة والناس. ربي أعوذ بك من همزات الشياطين وأعوذ بك ربي أن يحضرون. ربي أعوذ بك من همزات الشياطين وأعوذ بك ربي أن يحضرون. ربي أعوذ بك من همزات الشياطين وأعوذ بك ربي أن يحضرون. أفحسبتم أنما خلقناكم عبثا وأنكم إلينا لا ترجعون. فتعالى الله الملك الحق لا إله إلا هو رب العرش الكريم. ومن يدع مع الله إلها آخر لا برهان له به فإنما حسابه عند ربه إنه لا يفلح الكافرون. وقل رب اغفر وارحم وأنت خير الراحمين. فسبحان الله حين تمسون وحين تصبحون وله الحمد في السماوات والأرض وعشيا وحين تظهرون. يخرج الحي من الميت ويخرج الميت من الحي ويحيي الأرض بعد موتها وكذلك تخرجون. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم. لو أنزلنا هذا القرآن على جبل لرأيته خاشعا متصدعا من خشية الله وتلك الأمثال نضربها للناس لعلهم يتفكرون. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو عالم الغيب والشهادة هو الرحمن الرحيم. هو الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الملك القدوس السلام المؤمن المهيمن العزيز الجبار المتكبر سبحان الله عما يشركون. هو الله الخالق البارئ المصور له الأسماء الحسنى يسبح له ما في السماوات والأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. سلام على نوح في العالمين إنا كذلك نجزي المحسنين إنه من عبادنا المؤمنين. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. أعوذ بكلمات الله التامات من شر ما خلق. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. بسم الله الذي لا يضر مع اسمه شيء في الأرض ولا في السماء وهو السميع العليم. اللهم إني أصبحت منك في نعمة وعافية وستر فأتمم نعمتك علي وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إني أصبحت منك في نعمة وعافية وستر فأتمم نعمتك علي وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إني أصبحت منك في نعمة وعافية وستر فأتمم نعمتك علي وعافيتك وسترك في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إني أصبحت أشهدك وأشهد حملة عرشك وملائكتك وجميع خلقك أنك أنت الله لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك، وأن سيدنا محمدا عبدك ورسولك. اللهم إني أصبحت أشهدك وأشهد حملة عرشك وملائكتك وجميع خلقك أنك أنت الله لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك، وأن سيدنا محمدا عبدك ورسولك. اللهم إني أصبحت أشهدك وأشهد حملة عرشك وملائكتك وجميع خلقك أنك أنت الله لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك، وأن سيدنا محمدا عبدك ورسولك. اللهم إني أصبحت أشهدك وأشهد حملة عرشك وملائكتك وجميع خلقك أنك أنت الله لا إله إلا أنت وحدك لا شريك لك، وأن سيدنا محمدا عبدك ورسولك. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده. الحمد لله رب العالمين حمدا يوافي نعمه ويكافئ مزيده. آمنت بالله العظيم وكفرت بالجبت والطاغوت واستمسكت بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله السميع العليم. آمنت بالله العظيم وكفرت بالجبت والطاغوت واستمسكت بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله السميع العليم. آمنت بالله العظيم كفرت بالجبت والطاغوت واستمسكت بالعروة الوثقى لا انفصام لها والله السميع العليم. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا بسيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم نبيا ورسولا. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبسيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم نبيا ورسولا. رضيت بالله ربا وبالإسلام دينا وبسيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم نبيا ورسولا. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم. 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 اللهم إني أسألك من فجاءة الخير وأعوذ بك من فجاءة الشر. اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت خلقتني وأنا عبدك وأنا على عهدك ووعدك ما استطعت. أعوذ بك من شر ما صنعت أبوء لك بنعمتك علي وأبوء بذنبي فاغفر لي فإنه لا يغفر الذنوب إلا أنت. اللهم أنت ربي لا إله إلا أنت عليك توكلت وأنت رب العرش العظيم. ما شاء الله كان ما لم يشأ لم يكن ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. أعلم أن الله على كل شيء قدير وأن الله قد أحاط بكل شيء علما. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من شر نفسي من شر كل دابة أنت آخذ بناصيتها إن ربي على صراط مستقيم. يا حي يا قيوم برحمتك أستغيث من عذابك أستجير. أصلح لي شأني كله ولا تكلني إلى نفسي ولا إلى أحد من خلقك طرفة عين. اللهم إني أعوذ بك من الهم والحزن وأعوذ بك من العجز والكسل وأعوذ بك من الجبن والبخل وأعوذ بك من غلبة الدين وقهر الرجال اللهم إني أسألك العافية في الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم إني أسألك العفو والعافية والمعافاة الدائمة في ديني ودنياي وأهلي ومالي. اللهم استر عوراتي وآمن روعاتي. اللهم احفظني من بين يدي ومن خلفي وعن يميني وعن شمالي ومن فوقي، وأعوذ بعظمتك أن أغتال من تحتي. اللهم أنت خلقتني وأنت تهديني، وأنت تطعمني وأنت تسقيني، وأنت تميتني وأنت تحييني، وأنت على كل شيء قدير. أصبحنا على فطرة الإسلام، وعلى كلمة الإخلاص، وعلى دين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم، وعلى ملة أبينا إبراهيم حنيفا مسلما وما كان من المشركين. اللهم بك أصبحنا، بك أمسينا، وبك نحيا، وبك نموت، وعليك نتوكل، وإليك النشور. أصبحنا وأصبح الملك لله، والحمد لله رب العالمين. اللهم إني أسألك خير هذا اليوم، فتحه ونصره ونوره وبركته وهداه. اللهم إني أسألك خير هذا اليوم، وخير ما فيه، وخير ما قبله، وخير ما بعده، وأعوذ بك من شر هذا اليوم، وشر ما فيه، وشر ما قبله، وشر ما بعده. اللهم ما أصبح بي من نعمة أو بأحد من خلقك فمنك وحدك لا شريك لك، فلك الحمد ولك الشكر على ذلك. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله العظيم وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله العظيم وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله العظيم وبحمده عدد خلقه ورضا نفسه وزنة عرشه ومداد كلماته. سبحان الله عدد ما خلق السماء. سبحان الله عدد ما خلق الأرض. سبحان الله عدد ما بين ذلك. سبحان الله عدد ما هو خالق. الحمد لله عدد ما خلق في السماء. الحمد لله عدد ما خلق في الأرض. الحمد لله عدد ما بين ذلك. الحمد لله عدد ما هو خالق. لا إله إلا الله عدد ما خلق في السماء. لا إله إلا الله عدد ما خلق في الأرض. لا إله إلا الله عدد ما بين ذلك. لا إله إلا الله عدد ما هو خالق. الله أكبر عدد ما خلق في السماء. الله أكبر عدد ما خلق في الأرض. الله أكبر عدد ما بين ذلك. الله أكبر عدد ما هو خالق. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم عدد ما خلق في السماء. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم عدد ما خلق في الأرض. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم عدد ما بين ذلك. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم عدد ما هو خالق. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير عدد كل ذرة ألف مرة. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير عدد كل ذرة ألف مرة. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير عدد كل ذرة ألف مرة. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد مفتاح باب رحمة الله عدد ما في علم الله، صلاة وسلاما دائمين بدوام ملك الله، وعلى آله وصحبه عدد كل ذرة ألف مرة. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد مفتاح باب رحمة الله عدد ما في علم الله، صلاة وسلاما دائمين بدوام ملك الله، وعلى آله وصحبه عدد كل ذرة ألف مرة. اللهم صل وسلم على سيدنا محمد مفتاح باب رحمة الله عدد ما في علم الله، صلاة وسلاما دائمين بدوام ملك الله، وعلى آله وصحبه عدد كل ذرة ألف مرة. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب أليم قالوا طائركم معكم أئن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أأتخذ من دونه آلهة إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لفي ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومه من بعده من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أهلكنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لما جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنه يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وأعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملته أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالعرجون القديم لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أنا حملنا ذريتهم في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشأ نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنطعم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلى ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعثنا من مرقدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون فاليوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا اليوم أيها المجرمون ألم أعهد إليكم يا بني آدم ألا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تعقلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لطمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننكسه في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي له إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللناها لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون ولا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون أولم يرى الإنسان أنا خلقناه من نطفة فإذا هو خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون آمنت بالله صدق الله مولانا العظيم اللهم إنا نستحفظك ونستودعك أدياننا وأبداننا وأنفسنا وأهلنا وأولادنا وأموالنا وكل شيء أعطيتنا اللهم اجعلنا وإياهم في كنفك وأمانك وعياذك من كل شيطان مريد وجبار عنيد وذي بغي وذي حسد من شر كل ذي شر إنك على كل شيء قدير اللهم جملنا بالعافية والسلامة وحققنا بالتقوى والاستقامة وأعذنا من موجبات الندامة إنك سميع الدعاء اللهم اغفر لنا ولوالدينا وأولادنا ومشايخنا وإخواننا في الدين وأصحابنا ولمن أحبنا فيك ولمن أحسن إلينا والمؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات يا رب العالمين وصل اللهم على عبدك ورسولك سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم وارزقنا كمال المتابعة له ظاهرا وباطنا في عافية وسلامة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. الحمد لله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. First of all, announcement that since Fajr is now considerably earlier than 5 o'clock, we'll begin our Adhkar at 4:45, and I hope that I think that some people didn't get the message, but I apologize that some of people didn't get the message in time because we are moving forward instead of moving back. So you might have not gotten the message. So unfortunately for that. But going forward, it will be 4:45. And next time around, I'll try to have them announce it in the WhatsApp group and also at nighttime. Last night we did 11:30 to 12:30. What we usually do at the masjid at MBIC is usually Friday nights and Saturday nights after Taraweeh. Qari Zahid does the salam. He does a nice nats and salam. People leave. Usually we take a little bit of a break. We're back in there at the musalla at around 11:30, and then we go until about 12:30, and then people either stay until Fajr. They're welcome to stay, usually Fridays and Saturdays, or they go home. And sometimes they go now to the Omega Diner because Omega is now halal. I mean, they used to go anyway before it was halal for the non-meat foods, and which is basically just if you know MBIC, the area, it's basically less than half a mile walk. So people used to like to take that walk or drive their car, eat at Omega Diners, and come back for Salat al-Fajr. And now that being that we're obviously not there, so we just did it here from 11:30 to 12:30, and we'll be doing that every Saturday night, 11:30 to 12:30 program, and maybe try to change it up a little bit, even though it's never going to be the same as the live in-person way we used to do things, but at least it's something. One of the things that we talked about earlier in the day, yesterday, at the Khatra 9:15, the saying of the Quran, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ. There's something very important about noting how Allah Ta'ala mentions these. There are three different ways it's mentioned. أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولُ. Right? Or really two important ones. أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَالرَّسُولُ, or وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولُ. Okay? And then the third one, أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْكُمْ. So what do we mean by all this? The first one is obey Allah and His Messenger. And the second one is obey Allah and obey His Messenger. The third one is obey Allah and obey His Messenger and those in charge over you. Now, what the Mufassirin have said is that the word obey, every time the word obey is used, it indicates that there's a distinct commands coming from that source. So obey Allah and obey His Messenger would indicate that the Prophet is bringing something that is not in the Quran, right? Not contradictory, but the Prophet himself has said, I was given the Quran and something like it alongside with it. Utitu al-Quran wa mithlahu ma'ahu, right? And I was given the Quran and something similar to it that is like it. So that very similar to al-kitab wal-hikmah. The Quran says we were given the book and the wisdom. Okay. So wait a second. Isn't the Quran full of wisdom? It is. But the Quran and the wisdom are two separate things. Now, how are they separate? You're thinking to yourself, I thought the Quran has everything in it we need. Why do we need anything else? Well, what the Quran cannot do is show us the lived application of itself. The Quran is a book, it's words. Of course, it's pre-eternal, right? It's uncreated, it's divine words. But we are human beings who live on an earth in flesh, in time, in certain contexts. And so what is that thing that the Prophet ﷺ was given, which the Quran calls hikmah, right? And the Prophet ﷺ himself said, I was given the Quran and something like it alongside with it is the application of the Quran. How do you apply it in lived circumstances? That's what we call hikmah. And we call it the sunnah. The sunnah is, okay, so how do I do it? So the Quran says, be righteous. Al-birr, right? Al-birr is goodness. It says taqwa. It says all these things. Okay, so how do I do it as a human being? It was funny because Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib, he gave a ruling one time, he gave a judgment. And someone said to him, show us this judgment in the Quran. We judge by the Quran, right? So show us the judgment in the Quran. He said, Sayyidina Ali explained to them, he's using analogy. They said, no, we only want the Quran to judge. So Sayyidina Ali brought the Quran, and back then it was very big. It was like parchment paper was huge and thick. So like multiple people had to carry it out. And he placed it between them and him. And he looked at the Quran and he spoke to the book and he said, judge. And they looked at him and they said, how is the Quran supposed to speak? He said, then what do you mean? So a human being has to give the judgment. And he's going to use an analogy. An analogy means there are two opposite things, but they're similar in one way. And therefore, you're able to judge the new matter based upon the old matter, right? And this is how we judge the prohibition of things like drugs. The drugs are not mentioned in the Quran, but alcohol is mentioned in the Quran. So because we know that alcohol, it intoxicates the intellect or covers over the intellect and disallows a person from thinking properly. So therefore, we know that anything that disallows a person from thinking straight becomes prohibited too. So that's what we mean when we say that the Prophet ﷺ was given something besides the Quran, alongside the Quran. It is the correct application of the Quran. And this is why, in fact, they said that seeking knowledge is superior to seek it from a scholar than from the book itself, right? And you think, what's the point? What's the difference from learning from a sheikh? Why should I learn from a sheikh when I have the book? It's not just that. It's that when you're seeking knowledge directly from a sheikh, you're seeing him live. You're seeing how he lives. So you're seeing the application of that knowledge, right? And that's the wisdom behind that, right? So likewise, why does the Quran give stories? The Quran is always giving stories, right? Quran's always giving stories because the story shows the application of the knowledge, right? Now you can talk about Sayyidina Musa, for example. The other day we were reading in Juz number 9 about Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam. Now there's a hallmark about Sayyidina Musa which he shows what we call righteous anger, which is anger in the right expression, or the anger in the right way. How someone is to be angry in the right way. Okay, now I can give you a lecture on how to be angry. Like what's the right way to be angry? But guess what's going to happen? You're not going to get angry. You're going to get sleepy because no one likes to hear lectures all the time, right? But if I tell you a story an amazing story of a prophet who led his people against the Pharaoh and crossed the Red Sea. Then they arrived at the desert. Then he went up to the mountain and spoke to Allah for 40 days and took the revelation from him, and then came down. And lo and behold, what are his people doing? Worshipping the golden calves. Are you serious? You're worshiping a golden calf? You're still wet from the Red Sea. You haven't even dried yet. You just crossed the Red Sea. Subhanallah. And you're worshiping a golden calf. So what does Prophet Musa do? Alqal alwah. He took the tablet. Now I want you to imagine this. Imagine I tell you right now, someone threw the Quran. You would say, okay, he's going to have to get executed, right? This is kufr. We're going to off with his head. It's a kafir on the spot, right? On the spot if you throw the Quran. But what happens when I tell you Prophet Musa alayhi salam not only threw it, he took the tablets and smashed it against the mountain when he had just come down for 40 days and 40 nights, worshipping Allah and receiving revelation from him and having the most intimate munajat, which is private dua between him and Allah is pouring light on his heart. And this is the messenger. He doesn't make mistakes. He's sinless. He's totally pure. Yet he comes down, and the first action that he takes is he smashes them against the mountain. Now you got to ask yourself, well, the smart person says, okay, I have to put 2 and 2 together here. This is a perfect messenger. He does not do something that is haram. So why is it that he did what he did? He must have seen something terrible. And what is he seeing? He's seeing his entire tribe doing some kind of pagan dance all around the golden calf, dancing around the golden calf, worshiping it, bowing on it, touching it, kissing it, rubbing it. What the heck kind of shirk is this? He was so enraged that he lost it. The first thing that was in his hand was going to get crushed. And that's what, and then Allah Ta'ala says, وَأَلْقَى الْأَلْوَاحِ. Then does Allah Ta'ala blame him? No. Not a single word of itab. Itab means blame. There's not a single word of blame, right? It doesn't say, and he threw the tablets and broke them against the mountain, and this is something he shouldn't have done. It didn't say he threw the tablets and then Allah Ta'ala warned him. No, nothing like that at all. Absolutely nothing. No itab. He is not blamed in any way whatsoever. So this shows us that a human being could get angry, right? But what's the type of anger? About what is he going to get angry about? This is shirk. This is the biggest thing in the world. People go to eternal hell for shirk. Eternally. This is the biggest matter, right? And so that's an example of anger in practice. So Allah tells us a story because a story is far better than a lecture. Okay? A story can be told to a scholar, an intellectual, and the intellectual will say, wow, this means this means that, and he can put a lecture into place and write a whole book. Okay? And you look at the tafsir, and they take a story and they write you a whole chapter. Okay? And you could tell a story to a child and they'll love it because they can visualize in their head, okay, I can imagine Prophet Musa alayhi salam 40 days. And in that mountain, we have a description, by the way. We have a description that a fog would descend onto the top of the mountain so nobody would see. But the Bani Israel, when they after this whole incident with the golden calf had passed, then Allah said, bring me 40 of the men of the Bani Israel. So, and 70 in another, 70 another time. So different times he went up to the mountain, but one time he brought 70 men with him of the leaders. And they went up the mountain with him and they said, we want to see how you worship, etc., etc. So he said, fine, you stay down here, I'll go up. You can't go up all the way, I'll go up all the way, you stay halfway. So they're like sort of halfway at the mountain. And Prophet Musa goes up to the top of the mountain and they see a fog come down. So they couldn't see Musa. But in the fog, they would see light coming, almost like lightning happening, and that was how Musa alayhi salam was receiving speech from Allah. Okay, they were receiving the speech from Allah Ta'ala. Okay, and then you see these people had a problem. They just weren't right. And the Quran is telling us about them, not so we could make fun of them, but so we could not be like them. These men from Bani Israel, there was something not right about them. Okay, at first they worshiped the golden calf. You just got out of that alive by the skin of your teeth. Now you're coming to see to watch how Musa worships and maybe learn something. That's really the point. Maybe you can change on the inside in your heart. So they said, "Oh, we'd love to see how you worship." And so they start seeing the fog descend upon Musa alayhi salam, upon that whole area of the mountain, and they would see lights. Then they said, "Oh Musa, this is not enough. We will not believe until we see Allah Himself." This is unreal. After all this, you're still not believing. What is wrong with you? What's wrong with you? After all this, and you still won't believe. Subhanallah. We won't believe. What they mean is, they were sort of like saying, it's not good enough. All this was not good enough. Well, hold on a second. You actually just got freed from slavery. And not only that, how? The Red Sea opened up and made 2 mountains of water so that you can pass. So the Red Sea is like respecting you, like almost opening up for you and then crashing it on your enemy. And then you worship the golden calf. Then Allah forgave you. Now you're going to the mountain and you see the fog descending and the lights flickering for Musa alayhi salam. And you see the light in his face when he comes down and you tell him, we have to see Allah directly. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He was very tolerant with these people. Maybe these men, these people had gone through such vicious enslavement by Fir'aun that whatever alteration of straight thinking that occurred to them, He became tolerant of it. And Allah was very patient with them. He was tolerant of it. And so they were told, wait here at the mountain, okay? And then as soon as a thunderbolt came down, they all died. They all died. And Musa alayhi salam went and looked, saw them all dead. And he said, oh Allah, if you just, why don't you just kill me too? I have to go down to Bani Israel and tell them that 70 of their chiefs are all dead as well? Subhanallah. This is going to be a calamity. They're all going to leave belief after this. If I go down and tell them 70 of their chiefs have been killed. Okay. And so Allah Ta'ala resurrected all of them again. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Prophet Musa's wording was, In shi'ta ahlaktahum min qabl wa iyay. Oh Allah, if you wished, you could have killed them all earlier, and killed me too. So that I don't have to deal with these people who are going to go crazy if they find out 70 of their men were just killed. Okay? And so that was sort of almost like a warning to start being grateful for what Allah has given you. And keep asking. Be grateful for what Allah is giving you. And so Allah resurrected them again. All right. But the point being is that we learn from the Musa alayhi salam, we learn what is the right way to be angry. Okay. About what? Okay. Should a person be angry? So that's the importance of knowing that the Prophet ﷺ brings something different from the Quran. He brings the correct application of it so that we could see it with our own 2 eyes. And this is why Sayyidah Aisha says he was the Quran walking, which means he is the correct application. He is the application of the Quran. Okay. And so with that, ati'u Allah wa ati'u Rasul. Obey Allah, and from Allah Ta'ala we get the command, but that's not enough. And obey the messenger, meaning fulfill the command the way the Prophet ﷺ fulfilled it. You can't fulfill it the way you feel like it or the way you understand it. You have to fulfill it the way the Prophet ﷺ fit. And this is why suhbat al-salihin is so important. The suhbah, keeping the company of the righteous, is so critical because it's not just the theory, okay? It's not just the theory. It's not just the hukum. It's how you apply it properly. All right, and that's the value and the importance of the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ, and the stories of all the anbiya as well. All right, we'll stop there and let's see if anyone has any comments or questions. Okay, just a reminder for anyone who's coming late is that the Fajr Adhkar are now going to be at 4:45. Okay, first question says, A Aziz or AAZ, what is nafs and why is what Quran says kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut? Why isn't another word like kullu insan or so? Okay, good question. Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. All right. Firstly, a nafs is the person. The nafs is us. That's what what our self is. All right. And sometimes the nafs and the ruh, they both reside in the heart, and they're so subtle and unseen, and we don't see them. We don't really have anything except a abstract concept of it. We know that the nafs pulls us to everything down and lowly. That's the nature of the nafs, and it's trained, it's tamed by hunger and by solitude, and sometimes, worst case scenario, humiliation. Okay. So that's how the nafs is giving ta'deeb, just like a horse or a dog. If you want to train a dog or a horse, what do? You don't give it food all the time, right? And then when it does something good, then you feed it. So it knows that that's good. And so that's the nafs. The ruh is that which loves that which is good, everything good. It is happy by things that are good. And it's fed by dhikrillah. Okay, dhikrillah is the food of the ruh. So sometimes they can be used interchangeably. Okay, sometimes they could be used interchangeably, and usually when you have only one of them is mentioned, okay, they're almost synonymous. When they're both mentioned, then they clearly have a difference between them. All right, so that's a common concept in the Arabic language, is that when you have two synonyms, when one of them is used, it's like a general meaning for both. When both of them are used, then it indicates that there's a subtle, used in the same sentence, it indicates that there's a subtle difference. And why does the verse say, Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut? Allahu alam. Why that word was used in specific. Maybe we could look it up. What to do to avoid absurd thoughts while fasting and reading Quran? Now, by the way, this is a good question, because when a person does a lot of ibadah, by nature, a lot of there can be a reaction from the self. The nafs can have a reaction, and you might find yourself thinking really bad thoughts. You ignore them. That's all you do. Just ignore them. Is it true that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on Day of Judgment will recite Surat al-Rahman? If yes, then why is this surah in specific? This is narrated that it will happen in paradise, and the opening ceremony, you can say, of Jannah, and that Allah recites Ar-Rahman, and we do not know why that surah in particular, but it may be because that is his attribute, his key attribute. What is the first attribute of Allah? Bismillah Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Wallahu ta'ala alam. What do you think of CBD oils and its applications? Very simply, we say that if a leaf or drug like that it's a plant. If it's not in an intoxicating form and the intoxicating element is removed from it, okay, I'm not an expert in these things, but as a fiqhi matter, if the intoxicating element is removed from a dry plant, then the consumption of it is halal. Okay. Again, if it is a dry plant or a dry thing in nature, whatever, seed or plant or leaf or whatever, and it is not in an intoxicating form, right, then its consumption is halal. Example being the poppy seed, right? The same thing they use for drugs, right? But we put it on bagels too. I don't know if you have bagels in England, but the food we have here, you put poppy seeds on it. All right. Shar Patel says, did Musa alayhi salam hear the voice of Allah Ta'ala? Also, okay, so Allah what is a voice? First of all, let's use just look at how we interact with these things. What is a voice? A voice is the sound that results from the friction of two created things, which is oxygen and your vocal cords, right? So the word voice means the sound that emanates from two created things. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala therefore does not have anything like this, right? So he's not created, he's not physical. And therefore, what we do say though is when Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam would receive the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that according to one narration, he would hear as if a chain was being pulled from a rock, against a rock, a big chain being pulled over a rock. So that's the sound that he would hear. That does not mean that that's the sound of Allah's voice. Okay, so I know the person put it in quotes, knowing that it's not the case anyway, but I'm just clarifying for others. So that's the answer to that. Also, can I change my imam? Growing up, I followed what my parents told me, but now following a certain scholar, am I following a different imam? Is it okay? It's not sinful as long as it doesn't become a thing of play, that in 2020 you following so-and-so, then so-and-so comes along, he has a bigger beard, you follow that person, then that person you realize he's too strict, then you follow another person in 2030, and then in 2040, you're doing so. As long as a person's not doing that, then it's not a problem that a person takes benefit from a different scholar and then follows that scholar. But every scholar, if it's about fiqh, they have to be giving fatwa by what is the dominant opinion. We call the dominant opinion of any of the four schools of thought, because that's what has certainty behind it. It has tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of scholars having seen those opinions and approved them, and that will be acceptable in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Next question says, and do I have to know all the masail fatawa before changing the madhab? No, you don't have to. You do not have to. As long as it's one of the well-known madhahib in Islam and the Ummah, like the Hanafi, Maliki, Shafi, and Hanbali madhabs, then you're good to go. Zaim Chowdhury, assalamu alaikum. Once you said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam discouraged us to use shifa, which includes using fire. Is that right? No, the answer is to that the Prophet ﷺ did not like, the clarification is the Prophet ﷺ did not like us to use cauterization, which is the use of fire as a medicine. Okay, so that's what the Prophet ﷺ said, not to use fire as medicine. He did not like fire being used, or burning metal being used for Muslims. Because it has symbolism with the hellfire. Next question is, what's the difference between a mu'min and a Muslim? A Muslim is the outward law. So anyone who says La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, we treat him as a Muslim. That means the certain laws apply to him, such as burial, marriage. He's allowed to enter Mecca and Medina, and other things like that. We can now eat his slaughtered meats. So the outward law of the Sharia applies to this person. However, a mu'min, that is in the heart, and every mu'min will be a Muslim, but not every Muslim will be a mu'min. A mu'min can be a Muslim, he can be munafiq, he can be a hypocrite, right? So iman is a more specific word, right, that has its own signs. What is the sign that someone's a Muslim? One sign. He says La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. What's the sign that someone's a mu'min? Well, many. He loves to remember Allah. He loves to go to the masajid. These are all signs in the hadith, in the Quran and hadith. For iman, signs of iman. Loves the masajid, observes wudu, right? Does all these things. These are signs of iman. Loves to remember Allah, etc. Hamza says, what is the best way to ensure that our fasting isn't just mere hunger and thirst? Do much recitation of Quran and avoid sins as much as possible. Okay, let's take 2 more questions here. Is it true that the ulama and students of Hadramaut incorporate lots of coffee in their ibadah? How much coffee do you have a day? Well, coffee grew there, right? Yemen was one of the first places where coffee grew. Okay. So they naturally had it, and they drank it because they had it there, right? And then it became part of it. It's like part of their culture. There's no doubt that it's part of their culture. And Imam al-Haddad, he in his routine, he used to wake up very earlier before Fajr, and the first thing you do is make his cup of coffee, right? And then he'd pray tahajjud. And their coffee was different. It had a completely different taste than what we know, right? And they didn't even put milk in it. It was completely different, like a different flavor completely. So Imam al-Haddad used to have it right away for tahajjud, and that would help him stay up. Okay. And I think that, I haven't looked into it, but I do want to look and make sure that, there aren't too many adverse side effects to coffee, because if you don't want to be dependent, but I've said it before, even if I am, it's a little bit of an indulgence. There's a zillion things that are haram. We're all avoiding them. So, I mean, if a Muslim's going to have an indulgence, then this one, at least, I haven't seen that there are any adverse side effects. Right. And the Muslims forever have been drinking coffee. And it's, one of the few things that's halal that makes you feel good. Right. I mean, most other things that make you feel good, they have, bad side effects, so they're haram. So, personally speaking, I only would let myself have one a day, and then every few days, skip it so that you don't have to grow on a dependency, but not more than one a day. Some people have 2 cups a day, but I'm like, wow, that's a bit too much, because maybe you might start getting a dependency, right? But I mean, there's no rules for these things. Everyone has got their own personal preferences. All right, last question here. What can we take away from the fact that Allah seems to have took back, quote unquote, his decision of killing the 70 Bani Israel leaders, had this happened in another time? Well, we would say that maybe from the outsider perspective, it would have appeared that he took it back, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will is pre-eternal, and it doesn't change. And therefore, from our perspective, it may have seen that he took it back, but from the higher perspective, the greater perspective, it was always part of the plan that they be sort of taken by the sa'iqah, and that they were given their life again. And Allah Ta'ala had ordained to constantly give them a second chance. And he gave them so many chances, and constantly was forgiven. And what you could take from that is that he was very tolerant of them, despite them deserving some severe punishments. And he tells us why. He tells us because these people, these Bani Israel, as bad as they had certain things that they did with Prophet Musa, they had so much sabr. And Allah says, we made them the inheritors of the earth, bima sabaru. They had sabr. They were treated so wickedly by the Egyptians. They were treated so badly, and yet they had patience. So even though that treatment had a bad side effect, that they weren't thinking like any normal group people, right? When they were by the time they were with Prophet Musa alayhi salam, they weren't thinking normally anymore. Okay, and you could see Surat al-Baqarah is filled with all these decisions that they made that were just horrible decisions. Okay, and driving their prophets crazy. And that's just an idiom. Astaghfirullah, prophets obviously are not going to go crazy, but that's just as an expression. All right, but it is clear that Allah Ta'ala had a lot of sabr with them. Hilm. He was patient with them. He tolerated a lot of their errors. So what are we going to take away from it? We're going to take away from it that when someone is a victim, that you have to be tolerant, that they will have probably developed some other negative qualities. They develop bad qualities as a result of being victimized. And so we shouldn't look at a victim and just expect them to be living a normal life and having a normal mentality. Here, Bani Israel, look what they did. And yet Allah kept forgiving and forgiving. And they would get punished, but then they would get forgiven, right? They would get punished and then they would get forgiven again. And Allah would keep giving them another chance. And they, what they did to Prophet Musa, I mean, let me just tell you one thing. I've told you this before, I think. What they did to Prophet Musa alayhi salam was so unspeakable. You pull your hair out. After all this, like years later, okay, Prophet Musa alayhi salam, they would bathe in the lake. Prophet Musa alayhi salam would never take his loincloth off. The little wrap that they put on their waist, the Prophet Musa would never reveal himself, right, in front of them. But in their law at the time, it was permissible, right? Because, I mean, they're very poor. They're basically wandering in the desert lost, and which was their punishment for the golden calf. And so they would bathe together in the rivers and lakes naked, okay? And everyone would see everyone's aura, and it was halal for them. But Prophet Musa, being a prophet, he would cover himself. Now, these people, instead of saying Prophet Musa is more honorable than us, so he's covering his nakedness. That's what a normal person would say, right? He's clearly more honorable. He's a messenger. He has a different status than us, right? No. What did they say? They said Musa must be embarrassed of his manhood. That his manhood is not healthy. Something wrong with his private parts. And they started talking about Musa behind his back. Now tell me, if a man crosses the Red Sea with you, delivers you from the Pharaoh single-handedly by the permission of Allah, miracle after miracle after miracle, and then that's your reaction to when he covers his private parts, and you're going to go on behind his back and talk about him and talk about him and talk about him, that he has a problem with his manhood. So tell me exactly, do you think these people are normal anymore? I don't think they're normal. I think they're so traumatized by what happened to them by the Pharaoh that they're not thinking straight anymore. That's the only way to explain it. They're not thinking straight. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caused one day, when Musa was bathing by himself, he caused a rock to float downstream and grab on and latch onto his clothes and drag his clothes downstream, forcing Musa to take a couple steps outside of the water in an area which so happened that the men of the Bani Israel were there, and they glanced and they discovered Musa's body to be like chiseled, perfect, like statuesque type of body. And they all stared at him and said, by Allah, there is nothing wrong with him. Okay, just to show that their prophet was innocent and he's perfect and he's not, and he doesn't have any diseases or anything to be embarrassed about. So that's the takeaway. The takeaway is that they're clearly were so traumatized that they're not thinking normally anymore. And yet Allah Ta'ala, even though they get punished in this world to expiate their sins, he kept tolerating and forgiving them from what he knows, was altered in their way of thinking by by the torture of them and the slavery of Pharaoh. Zaim Chowdhury, I read in Surat al-Baqarah, Allah tells a mu'min, do not die not being Muslim. Yeah, meaning do not die except in a state of pure submission. So Muslim means submission as well. Right? And yes, I'm down to 3 cups in Ramadan. See, what's wrong with our indulgence? You're going to take this away from us too? SubhanAllah. Now you're taking the halal away from us. It's enough. There's so many haram things. A man can't. There was a man who used to overeat, and I'm sitting there with him in Ramadan. He's Egyptian. I said, I thought there were only 3 pyramids. There's a 4th. He said, yeah, there are only 3. Right? I said, no, there's a 4th one that's on your plate. That's how much food he had. right? A pyramid of food. And he laughed and he said, yeah, my wife says to me, why do you love eating so much? He said, well, I love a lot of things, but eating is the only one that's halal. Okay? He stopped asking him about it anymore. All right, everyone. Jazakumullah khairan. See you again tonight at 7 o'clock. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta. نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر والسلام عليكم